So a little plot twist of today. It is 10 o'clock and I was supposed to work today. Had a lot of patients to see and I literally get in my car to go see my patients, and daycare calls me and they said that I had to come pick Lucas up because he has like 2 bumps right here, and I literally thought it was just like from drooling because he like sucks his thumb and stuff. But I guess gingiomastomatitis is going around his daycare. So they were like, you have to take him to the pediatrician and he can't come back like until like the doctor's okay, just in case like he does have it. I know. Is that you?
No, Mama.
Hold on, buddy, I'm talking. You want to talk too? You want to say hi?
No.
You don't want to? Okay, well, we're gonna go outside before we have to leave. We have to leave in like 20 or 30 minutes, and I'll kind of fill you guys in about that. Cause like obviously I love the protocol, because like I don't want my kid to like be exposed to like things. Like if you think that they have it, obviously like I want him to get the right treatment, make sure he's okay, blah, blah. But Josh works nights, so it's like he can't stay up all day with him, and we don't have family around. So it just makes me feel like a terrible employee, like having to like call into work, especially knowing I had like 6 patients to see today. But like it is what it is at the same point. But truly, like I've never called in like sick before, maybe once, and I feel like I have to call in all the time for him, because you always like get stuff and they can't go to daycare if they have like a fever over a certain amount, if they have like so many diarrheas, like all the stuff, because they don't want it to like be spread. But it's just like I seriously feel like
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, I feel like such a bad, like unreliable coworker at times, which is like really hard for me. But like my manager has been like completely understanding and stuff, but I don't know, it's just like it's really tough. Are you gonna go outside? You wanna go outside?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. He loves his rocks. Do you love your rocks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dada's sleeping. Literally, I just put Lucas down to bed, and I don't know, came to my mind to try to chat with you guys again for like the 5th time, truly, that I've tried to film this video. And I look crazy, so this was like not planned at all, but so I have tried to sit down and film this video multiple times, just hasn't worked out. Whether that be like the phone dying or the camera dying, not having enough storage. Usually I try to do it when I'm in my car, but whatever, just hasn't worked out anytime where I've got to tell the full story. So I'm gonna pick up where I like believe that I left off last time. And the main reason that I even want to like post this video and like open up and share it is because when I was going through my miscarriages, which like disclaimer here, this is definitely a trigger warning video, so like don't watch this video if you've had miscarriages, or if you just like don't want any, like you don't want to be in a discussion about it. But this is like my preface, so yeah, definitely click out of it. I actually like feel myself getting a little emotional right now, which is like weird, because I'm like fine now, but I mean, are you ever really fine? But like I'm better, like, you know. Anyways, sorry, this is literally gonna be scrambled, because that's how my mind is about this whole thing. But anyways, the main reason that I even want to post this video is because when I was going through it both times, because I had 2 back to back, which were both completely different experiences, I found myself like constantly going on like Facebook groups, like Reddit and stuff where like people share their experiences, but I was constantly like searching out like if this has happened to other people, like what was their experiences with it, like how did you cope for it, how long did it last, like etc etc. So that's why I wanted to film this video, because I'm hoping that maybe if whoever watches my videos, maybe I can be of help to you or of comfort to you, or even give you some like knowledge, just like things that I went through. Just hopefully maybe it can help someone out there. But yeah, because truly I feel like we all go through things and we can all learn from each other. But I also saw, which maybe this is why I was thinking about it randomly tonight to sit down and film it for you guys, but I saw Ciao Bella, or I think her name's like Megali now, but she posted this reel that someone else had said, and it was saying that basically God doesn't give you things until you almost don't want them anymore sometimes, and that's because he doesn't want you to idolize like a thing, whether that be like a raise, like a new car, something in your marriage, maybe like a baby in my case, but like it just kind of sank in, like, you know, it's not good to idolize anything, and we don't know why bad things happen, but it kind of did put into perspective, like, just I guess a different viewpoint on the whole situation. And then I was also listening to a podcast which was like, things don't happen to you, they happen for you, meaning like you can like learn from every experience you go through, kind of makes you a stronger person, gives you a different perspective about life and just what have you. So I will say that I've been leaning more into God during both of these experiences. I'd say the first was more traumatic in different ways. So basically, Lucas, he's gonna be 2 in a couple months, so I'd have a C-section with him, and I really want to try to VBAC for our second baby, so we kind of waited. They recommend till you're at least like 18 months to VBAC, but we started trying, well, like I guess when a little bit after a year. Like I wouldn't say right away at a year, he's probably like maybe 14 months or so. We started trying, got pregnant in November, so yeah, 12, 13, 50, so it would have been 15 months. So yeah, got pregnant in November. I don't really think it took that long. Like my period just started after he was a year too, because I breastfed him up until a year. But got pregnant in November, told my family right away. Obviously, still kind of like kept it a secret, like didn't post anything or whatever, because I'm always like weird about the first trimester, just like working a medical field, like knowing things happen. I wanted to get seen early with him because I had to be on progesterone with him because my levels were like 1 or 2 points low, and I just like wanted to make sure everything was okay with that. And I bled with him. I had a subchorionic hematoma, so I wanted to get an ultrasound like right away, because I was just like nervous about those things. So I think they got me in around like 7 weeks. Saw the baby's heartbeat. It wasn't any sign of subchorionic hematoma, and they said that like testing your progesterone levels is like old standards now, and it's not related to miscarriages, which I was like, really? Because my son's like a little over a year, so that means that it would have been like, what, 2 years ago that they gave me progesterone, because it takes like 9 months, you know, you have the baby, whatever. But I was just kind of like believe them. Not saying that's why anything happened, but like going back, like when I get pregnant again, I'm definitely going to be more assertive about testing my progesterone levels. But anyway, so everything looked good, and then I switched to an OB closer to me, which none of that matters, but anyways, the OB that I was at, they won't see you until you're 14 weeks, but at my 12 week at 12 weeks they'll test your blood and like take your blood pressure and everything, just to like make sure that everything is like normal. I think they do like your glucose, like your HCG obviously, and like a bunch of stuff. And then so I got that done, and then that same day, like later, it was after I worked out, which was like when I started bleeding with Lucas too. After I worked out, just like did like a light treadmill, like nothing crazy. I started bleeding again, and I kind of was like, it was different than when I bled with Lucas, because when I had the subchorionic hematoma, it literally felt like there was a water balloon inside like my vagina, and someone like popped it, and it was like a huge gush of blood, and like it was like wouldn't stop for a little bit, but then it subsided. Versus this one was just like a gush, and then it kind of just like slowly like was coming out. So I don't know, it just like was different. But I tried not to get all up in my head, because I was like, well, I'm like 12 weeks along. Like usually if you miscarry, it's like earlier than that. Like usually you're in the clear. And I actually almost posted that I was pregnant that day, but for some reason I just had a feeling not to, and I'm like really glad I didn't. And then the next morning, the nurse practitioner called me, and she was worried because I guess my HCG levels were like really low. They're like 2,000 or something like that, which for being 12 weeks along is like not good. And so they had me go and get an ultrasound, and I wasn't having any cramping or anything like that. That's why I was trying not to freak out, because I know like usually when you like miscarry you have like cramping along with the bleeding, which I wasn't having any cramping at that point. So then I went and got the ultrasound, and I just knew something was wrong, because like the girl wouldn't say anything to me. And when I had the subchorionic hematoma with Lucas, like to this day I still remember, the ultrasound tech was like, baby's fine, and like she's like, see, there's a heartbeat. And versus this time, you know, she was like, I was like, is everything okay? Like, do you see a fetus? Like, you can just tell me if I'm miscarrying. Like, I truly have a feeling I'm miscarrying. And she's like, I'm not a doctor, blah, blah, whatever. So I just had like a feeling that something's wrong. Then that night I started getting cramping, and it like was really bad. I think I was in labor for like 5 hours. It's like the worst pain I've ever felt in my whole life. Like I was like sweating like on the floor next to the toilet. It was literally like 12 a.m. to like 5 a.m. and it's just like terrible pain. And I was just like, please stop. Like, you know, just like sad obviously, but you know, when you're like in labor for a baby, it's like you have like a goal in mind to like meet your baby. But this time it was kind of just like, I just want it to be done, because I know like the baby's like not alive, and I just like want it out so that I don't have to be in pain anymore, because it's already painful knowing that you're miscarrying like a baby that you're so excited for to meet, especially after seeing the heartbeat. And then like, I don't know, just like a very emotional experience. Like I can't imagine miscarrying like further along, or like, you know, people have like stillbirths, like I can't imagine that. But yeah, that was like really hard. And then past the baby, which, you know, was just like a little babe, and like the pain just stopped. And so then I got some rest, and thank God Josh was here during that time. Thank God it was at night, so Lucas was sleeping the whole time. Then I went to the follow-up appointment the next morning, which going back I wish I almost didn't, but I was just scared. Like I want to make sure everything was okay. Like, do you need to do anything to like make sure everything came out, you know? But yeah, so then you just have to go weekly to get like your HCG levels tested. They said they wanted to make sure it was at least like a 10. And then they're like, you can try like whenever you want, after, just take as much time as you need. And I like cried about it like every single day for like a while, because it's just like the baby would be due actually next month in July. That was the baby's due date. And I'm so glad we didn't find out the gender too, because it makes it like less, like, it's obviously still real, but it makes it like less personal, I guess, not knowing what the gender was. But yeah, so I mean, I still think about the baby every day. And I'm, yeah, sorry. But anyways, So that was very traumatic. We don't know why. They just say like usually it's like a chromosomal issue. The body recognizes that something's not right, and it's like your body's way of getting rid of it. Apparently the baby stopped growing at 10 weeks, but it took my body like 2 more weeks to like realize that the baby had stopped growing, I guess. So I was like 12 weeks, but the baby had stopped growing 2 weeks prior. Yes. I feel like there's something else I wanted to say about it. Oh yeah, and then I do remember too, like I was like very tired like in the beginning of the trimester, and I just remember like telling my sister like I just like don't feel pregnant anymore, like I just like feel fine now. And so I just in retrospect wonder like was that like, you know, a symptom of it or whatever. But yeah, so then I think it was like after a month or something, like, you know, I was just like, I really want a baby. Like I really want them to be like close in age with Lucas. Like, you know, people have miscarriages all the time. Surely like people don't have 2 miscarriages in a row. Like I'm ready to like start trying again. I think I had like 1 period and we got pregnant again. So I miscarried January 18th and then I got pregnant again. I feel like it doesn't, like the world does not want me to film this story because this just shut off again. Maybe I'm talking too long. Maybe this is like a sign that I just need to like make it short. Anyways, so for the second miscarriage, I consider this like a chemical pregnancy because there was never any sign of like life inside of me besides my HCG levels going up. And so they were like, go get an ultrasound, just see what's going on. There was no sign of anything inside of me. But my levels, they started at 17 and like dropped a little bit. And then they just like kept going up, like very little. Like they had me do weekly blood draws. It'd be like 17 and then it'd be like 25 and then 45 and then blah, blah, blah. This went on until I'm officially finally not pregnant. Isn't that crazy to say finally not pregnant? But it was like June, so April, May, so almost 3 months, all of April, all of May, yeah, so almost 3 months to like resolve this like emotional mess. So they eventually referred me to a gynecological, I can never say this word, but oncologist, and I had no idea that you can get cancer from having miscarriages. And I had no idea that that was what was going to be the conversation when I went into this appointment. I just thought that I was going to have to take like methotrexate, which is like a chemo drug, but I didn't think that they were going to say like you potentially could have cancer. So there's something called gestational trophoblastic disease, and the way the doctor explained it to me is when you get pregnant and like all the cells start like duplicating and they form the placenta, like it's a beautiful organ. It like helps your baby grow, gives it all its nutrients and everything that it needs to grow into like a beautiful healthy baby. Sometimes there's a chromosomal issue where the placenta doesn't develop properly and those cells can turn cancerous and go inside your uterus and then spread elsewhere. He said it is very treatable, and since my levels were so low, I think they're like in the 200 or 300s, which is so low. Usually they're like a lot higher, I guess. He's like, you would be really like very treatable. But I'm a nurse, so I started asking all these questions, which I shouldn't have done, but I was like, okay, so like if I do have this, like what's the course of treatment? How long after could I get pregnant? Like what would that look like for me? And that's when I lost it. He was like, you'd have to come in for like weekly chemotherapy, IV chemotherapy, which would be like a couple hours a day, like a couple hours every time you're there. And or it was either weekly or like 5 days on, 5 days off or something like that. I don't really remember. I honestly blacked out once he started talking about cancer. And then he was like, you wouldn't be able to try to have for a baby until like 6 months after you finished treatment because of all the chemotherapy. And I just lost it and I just broke down because I was like, we're just trying to have a baby and now we're talking about like me potentially having cancer. And then I like just kept thinking about like Lucas and like, yes, I want a baby so bad, but like I want to be here for Lucas and like, is it worth it? Like I want to be able to give him a sibling, but you know, I want to be healthy. So So it's like and then like we don't really have help. So I'm like, how am I supposed to come in here and get chemo for hours like every week? You know, it was just like, it was like a lot. And so, yeah. So then they ordered me a CT scan and I asked them, can you please do it stat? Because like, this is just like a lot to take in. You know, I wasn't expecting it. And so basically the reason for him doing the CT scan was to see if it is that, did it spread? And like that was one way to see if it was that too. So they sent me right over to get a CT scan. And mind you, I was supposed to work this day, but I obviously called in because I was a mess. And just waited for the results on that. And they also did HCG test as well. So the CT scan they did from like the neck down, they're just gonna do, anyways, whatever. Came back negative. They couldn't see anything wrong, like any, I forget what he called it, but it was like, not lesions, but like, it'd be like little tumors, like whatever, like if it had spread, if it was that, but there's no signs of that anywhere. So everything looked normal. So he's like, that's an amazing sign. And then also, God willing, my HCG levels started decreasing, which also ironically, I started bleeding the same day that I had this appointment. And I like hadn't bled like for a month or something before this appointment, just when I went to the ER. And so I was like, okay, this got to be like a good sign. And then they were like, we're just going to test your HCG again just to make sure that it's actually decreasing, because this was a different doctor than I was originally going to. So I just wanted to make sure like it wasn't anything different with the different labs or whatever, and it was decreasing as well. So then he was just like, you definitely don't have that. And he was so nice. He was like, I'm so sorry for like the emotional distress that I had caused you, but like, you know, that's just like what we were thinking that it could be because of like everything that's been going on. He's like, this is just like a really, really weird miscarriage, but you don't have it. So like, pray to God, like, thank you so much. Like, the best blessing ever that I could have ever asked for. Like, truly just like lidifies like how important your health is and everything. So I haven't even told like people really about this, except for like one or two of my friends and like obviously my family. But yeah, so that was a lot. And then he said we could do a DNC just to get everything out of my uterus and like send that in for testing for biopsy, which actually is like one way that you can test for gestational trophoblastic disease, which is what I would have done anyways to confirm that that's what it was, if that's what we were thinking. But he said we can also like do a DNC, send it to pathology just to like see like the chromosomal issue or like whatever was going on. So he said that it looked really clean. He was like, we almost like didn't even need to do it. And granted, by the time we finally got to this point, like I was bleeding like a lot, like on and off, like period bleeding. And so in my mind, I'm like, this is an amazing sign. Like it means that my body's getting rid of like whatever's going on. But obviously like this miscarriage took 3 months. So which I did have some retained, it said placental tissue inside of my uterus, which could have been why my levels were still going up, because like the cells, but it was never enough to like turn into a baby. You're at an increase of infection. So at first I was kind of upset that I did it, but then now I'm like just happy just knowing like everything's clean inside there, but it's truly just like a fluke thing. They have no idea like why it happened. There's just like a really weird, strange miscarriage. Yeah. So, and he was concerned too, I think, that maybe with the first miscarriage, because I stopped going after my numbers got to 10, because they said it was fine once they got to 10, but he said it needs to be like a 6 or below. So I don't know, but so I tested 2 weeks in a row to make sure the levels were low. It said under 3. And then I was able to be like discharged from their services basically. So yeah, so right now I'm basically at the point, and I just had like my first period, which I'm just like, I don't even want to try to get pregnant. At this point, I still want another baby, and I pray to God that we're able to have another baby and have a healthy pregnancy, a healthy baby, gives Lucas a sibling. But like, this one just really made me take a step back, obviously, and I'm just like, I just want to enjoy, like I just want to enjoy being a mom to Lucas. I want to enjoy not having to worry about the stress of my health, or like something going on inside of me. Like it was just like so many months of every single day, like what's going on, like, you know, like at first I had no idea, so I was constantly stressing like, why does no one know? And then when it was like that potential diagnosis of like cancer, that just like rocked my world. And you know, you just think about like Lucas and like my husband and my family and like everything, obviously, and that's even like a treatable cancer from what he was saying. So just like, I don't know, like I'm a nurse and I think about this stuff all the time because I'm constantly around it, but once it's you, it's obviously like a way different situation. But it was just a lot. But I just am very thankful and grateful, and I just kind of want to enjoy life as it is right now. And if it's in God's will, he'll bless us with a baby, and you know, just kind of have to continue to be grateful and live our life every day until then. So yeah, that is my story. I hope that I portrayed it well and that this is helpful to anyone that might need help, like knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel with everything, meaning I guess just more like me being to terms with everything and just truly knowing like it is out of my control. Like there is so much in this life that is out of my control. Getting pregnant, out of my control. The baby being healthy and stuff, out of my control. Like God is like so in control, and just like leaning into him has given me the most peace with everything that I have been going through. And I feel like that's the only way that I've been able to like really rationalize with everything. And a lot of my friends, like, are you okay? Like, you know, just being good friends, like checking in on me. And it's just like, I am okay. Like obviously like you're okay to an extent, but it's like I feel like I'm doing okay because I'm just like leaning into God. So, which is like what, you know, like I should do, but it just like makes you even more than you do before, if that makes sense. I'm really bad at explaining things, but yes. So that's where I've been. I was doing so good for a while, posting every week. I was so proud of myself and I loved it. And then, you know, just like life happened and it just got hard. But I'm planning on picking it back up. But I just want everyone to know that hang in there. Like, miscarriages are hard. Secondary infertility is like hard too. And it's kind of like jaded me about getting pregnant. Like with Lucas, it was so amazing. And then now I'm just kind of like more cautious, which is fine. But I'm gonna enjoy this summer and hopefully have good summer with everyone. And like I said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope that I was able to help someone or just, you know, give you comfort or anything like that. And just know you're not alone. Like a lot of people struggle with infertility and secondary infertility, which I feel like is not talked about as much or just even known. Like obviously, like I know people have miscarriages, but just like how many people are like trying for another baby and not able to, definitely a lot more common, because you're not just like, people are not asking you how are you, and then you're just like gonna go into all this stuff. It's just like not really talked about. So I just want you to know that you're not alone, and then just to have hope and faith that it will all work out how God wants it to work out. And to just hang in there and hug your babies extra tight. And just every time, I've always looked at him like such a blessing, but I look at him even way more as a blessing. Like even me and my husband like look at each other after both of these experiences and we're just like, wow, like we're always so grateful for him, but like truly like it is such a gift from God, like to have a healthy baby. So yes, I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video.
That's all, folks.
Give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe.